I have some questions for you. Number 1, how many of you have heard of the name Hadassah in the Bible? Not surprising if it's not many of you, because it's only mentioned once. But it's the name of a Jewish girl. Number 2, have you heard the name of the name Esther in the Bible? Probably yes. It's one of the only 2 books in the Bible that's got a girl's name. And it's the Persian name of Hadassah, the Jewish girl who became Queen of Persia. Just so you know, there are 2 things about the book of Esther that make it different from all the others. First, it's the only one in the Bible that doesn't mention the name God. And second, it has the longest verse in the Bible. That's chapter 8, verse 9, if you want to check it out. Number 3, do you know what the name Esther means? It means a star. Well, I've got an Esther to meet you this morning. Here she is. Question 4, why do you think she's called Esther? Because she's a star, and especially because she's a starfish. And that is what I want to tell you a story about this morning. Starfish are peculiar creatures because although they're called fish and live in the sea or underwater, they actually appear to walk. And the reason is that underneath they have lots of little tubes with suckers at the end, and they drag themselves along the shore or over rocks. If you find one on the beach, it's probably brought up by the tide and missed the ride back. Once upon a time, there was a very high tide during the night that came up the beach further than usual. When it went down again, it left hundreds of starfish behind, and much too far for them to walk back. When daylight came, all you could see were loads of starfish stranded on the shore, and as the sun got hotter and dried the sand, the poor things were dying. A little boy was walking along the beach, and he knew they needed help, so he began to pick them up one by one and throw them back where they belonged. But there were too many for one person to rescue. Just then a man came walking his dog along the beach, trying not to step on all the starfish. When he saw what the little boy was doing, he shouted, "You're wasting your time. You're never going to get all these starfish back into the sea before they die." But the little boy carried on picking them up one by one and throwing them back where they belonged. And as they each plopped into the water, he said, "Well, I've made a difference to that one." You see, he knew it was too much for one person to do on their own, but he was doing what he could, and he was making a difference. So here's my last question. Why do you think I've told you that story on our Climate Change Sunday? It's because climate change is too big a job for one person to do something about all on their own. But we can do something to make a difference by what we do. And the more people that do something to make a difference, the less people will die from climate change. So next time you hear the name Esther or see a starfish, remember that story and do something to make a difference. After all, as a certain supermarket ad says, every little helps. And of course, the more you do, the more it would help.